the Xayah and the Lulu. Gen.G left open the Aatrox, took away the rest, and then demolished the Aatrox with a fantastic draft where you can collapse on the Aatrox, the Camille, that old counter, fantastic matchup. And it's that prep you're talking about, Chronicle, that really showed in Game 1. Now T1 once again will be tested in adaptation. And will we see that Alistar ban continue here is the question. So far, the answer is no.
I'd say it's not a bad idea, but it's rough when Delight has a pick that arguably he's even more famous for, which is Rakan. So, I mean, it's not really as permaban status as Alistar as a champion, but when you talk about Delight himself, it's kind of rough.
I think you can ban the same things here as Gen.G. You just take away the Xayah, take away Nico, and take away the Azir. And if they want to prioritize that Aatrox, you still have the answer. Now, T1 may just simply try to put Guma on first pick Zeri and flip the table a little bit here.
I think we're looking towards a first pick Rel here. With already so many of the engage reports taken away, we'll see what Gen.G decides to do, or is obviously also flexible. I do agree with sticking with the Azir ban. I think that we saw in the previous game that Faker on the Jace not able to have the same impact. The Cassiopeia incident from yesterday also still fresh in our mind. This Maokai though, I'm never going to complain about. I think the champion is incredible and works in so many different team comps.
Yeah, but I think once again Gen.G can grab this Zeri very early on and go Zeri Rakan. Say you may have banned a lot of these other picks and the Rel is still out there, but they'll actually opt into instead here this Sejuani pick. As it's going to be a Aphelios this time around, so T1 just completely changing it up. They'll push that Lulu priority up. Now, you're not going to get that Jace as Faker here again to synergize with the Maokai. Very likely, it's almost certainly going to be banned. And you don't have the Nico, you don't have the Azir, and a Delight Blitzcrank.
Okay,
locked in.
They're just going to lock it in. It's Game 2. He's got a big smile on his face. Now, we've seen stuff like this go wrong. So I don't want to say, ooh, this is really cool, it's going to work out, but definitely something that can get ahead of this Aphelios Lulu and not just allow them to sit there and scale.
The fact the crank is at 50% win rate makes complete sense. The champion is binary. Either you hit your hooks or you don't. A really, really big gap between when Blitzcrank looks great and when he can look a little bit rough. But this is specifically a spot where I think it works great. Into both Aphelios and Lulu. Very strong in lane, yes. A lot of offensive and pushing capabilities, but neither of them have a way of easily getting out of a blitz hook, right? It's going to be either really crisp positioning or a flash. And if those are down, might run into some trouble, as we do see the Taliyah respect come through.
Taze gone from Faker. The Gragas ban means I think T1 have to ban Jax here, but then you still have to run into potentially Renekton here. The Camille, still an option. You took away the Taliyah here, and I just don't think you want to play into Jax with this composition. There's just a huge threat for your Aphelios. You can, of course, flank the Maokai. The Maokai could be picked by the Blitzcrank, so that is going to get taken away. But the Renekton still stands as a potential threat here. And Chovy's champion pool right now in current form is so massive that, yeah, you took the Taliyah away, but they may just simply lock the Renekton and...
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Yone could go into R4 as well.
Yeah, you might want to save counterpick for top, or you take the Aatrox as well. But as you were saying, well, if the Renekton's still here, the Renekton working better with the Sejuani, I suppose, but saying, okay, Aatrox is really strong, Doran's going to have his chance to pilot it this time.
And for me, I think this is a concession that Doran has made for this team so many times. And given how Chovy played last game, I think giving him counterpick is 100% the right call. He had such an insane impact, and him neutralizing Faker works on so many levels. Now, Ahri, notoriously hard to shut down. I'm like, are we gonna go all the way back and we're gonna see Chovy pick out the Lissandra? Is a pick that was really popular into the Ahri. And the Cassante, not a matchup that we're excited about. We've seen Zeus himself show that if you don't punish the Aatrox early on, he can become a complete menace in mid to late, and Cassante not really the type of early power that we're looking for.
Doesn't have a lot of great synergy for the Ahri either, but it is going to be a great front line for this Aphelios if we do go to the late game. The problem is you're already kind of matched by the Zeri on the other side, and Cassante can't really peel for himself all too well if he does end up getting hooked or caught by Sejuani ult into hook there from the Blitzcrank. So he also has a potential to be deleted early, as Chovy will pick the Sylas here into the Ahri, and a pick we have not seen for a long time, but there is so much engage here. There is so much pick on Gen.G's side, and If you watch the spring finals, you know that Faker didn't have the greatest Ahri performances then either. And it just feels like Gen G, even though it's a little bit less conventional here, have a draft that works so well together.
And that's really telling here is that this looks like a spring MSI composition, right? You have the hyper carry, you have double frontline, you have utility mid, and Gen G, I do think that this is the type of comp that either is going to look completely broken or kind of fall apart. Because if you do fall behind with a full melee comp with a Blitzcrank, you're going to be in some deep trouble. But that 3v3 in particular, Sejuani combined with Sylas, that is a mid-jungle 2v2 that you don't get to make any mistakes in. And if Faker isn't unlocked, like, what are you going to do?
And guess what? You know, something we've said so many times about the Maokai is that his ultimate is so overbearing and so annoying to deal with. But if you just pick Sylas, then you have your own Maokai ultimate, and he can just take that. Not over and over, of course, but there's so many good ultimates on the other side. Even Ahri's great. The Wild Growth is fantastic to follow up on the engage. There are just so many ways for the Sylas to get value, even outside of the fantastic synergy you have with the Sejuani.
I'm not sold that T1 had an answer for this draft here in the second game. Gen G playing a completely different style. This is not going to be about out-macroing and bullying an Aatrox early. It is just a pick-based composition where you've got so many different ways to get that first reset for the Aatrox here. And I think Gen G definitely have the much stronger, much more well-rounded draft. If it falls behind, it's going to have problems, but I just can't rely on that happening. If I'm a T1 fan, I'm worried.
We'll see if Guma can maintain his form and the rest of the team can enable him, because it stands or falls with him.
He's gonna have to. They don't have a lot of damage outside of him. Let's jump onto the Rift for game number 2. Here we go, game number 2. A lot of finesse in the draft from Gen G in game 1. Here in game 2, Wolf, you kind of said it, but they took out their big red hammer and might just look to smash T1 over the heads with it. But again, we'll have to wait and see if it works out for them.
KT Rolster showed us yesterday that even if you fall early in a series, you definitely can bring it back if you have the right mindset. And I'm not saying this one is done by any means. We're just crashing minions now here in mid. The win conditions here fairly narrow for T1 with this draft. I think the Sylas was such a perfect answer here from Chovy. He's going to get some vision here of the blue start. Will be cleared very deftly here by T1, but he got the information he was looking for.
Also gave Faker the ward kill here in mid, so he should be threatening Chovy, at least in the level 1. Chovy also going for the first strike, so I'm expecting that this is the Q-Max Sylas, where you try and play it more like a poke and harass style champion, and we do see Chovy giving up a little bit of early presence here, as is to be expected. Faker already level 2.
Yep, this is the way this is going to go early on. Ahri very good at handling the lane, especially at level 1 with the Electrocute and the W start. As you see, Faker 2-1 on the pick. Obviously, he doesn't have a huge selection of games from Summer, at least, but was definitely one of the first big Ahri players when she did get changed.
Certainly true. And there wasn't really a way to play Ahri Vi in this draft unless they had decided to flex the Maokai top, and Faker still locked in as he might be in trouble.
Chovy is so low, though, and Peanut is here, so they're trying to set something up at Oner here as well, as level 3 not hit for Chovy, but they just go in on the Faker as the first blood will go to Sejuani, and Chovy gets away. He's just teleporting to safety, and there's not much that Oner can do. He's just trying to take down Peanut, but he can't even do that.
They just straight up outplayed a 2v2 there. Peanut making sure that they can't get on top of Chovy. He didn't even have his W there, right? Didn't have the sustain. One of the big things that makes Sylas so threatening, the permafrost appliance there. Picture perfect. And it is going to be Peanut who ends up picking up the kill, but that's going to feel so good for Gen G.
Certainly is. Now, Chovy also did, use his flash as well, so a little bit less survivable for some potential follow-ups. As we'll watch this here, Chovy chugging through some of that regen here, and then Oner, he buffers the root so beautifully there with the chains. Flash is over, so there's not enough damage. There's no vision here for T1. Not that they could kill him anyway, so they just TPs to secure his escape. Oner knows he's likely going to get out, so decides to chase Peanut, but is unsuccessful there. Huge cheers here in the coaching booth. 4 flashes down, but advantage Gen G.
Yeah, they were a bit concerned at first, as, you know, any normal person would be. But just a bit of an outplay, and they get it going, and the Sylas and Sejuani high-fiving for that first blood. As you were mentioning, Wolf, no flash, no teleport even from Chovy, who did use it to get away, even though he didn't technically need it, as we know at the end of the play. But just trying to be as safe as possible, run away with the first blood, and be happy with that. So let's see, as Faker had to use his as well, but definitely could see some more action here in a little bit.
And the pre-6 generally isn't really where you're looking to try and pull ahead as Sylas, right? Peanut did get spotted when doing his Gromp, but I'd be looking for a player towards bot side. We'll see if they can force a summoner. Still a lot available here for Guma and Keria as they do spot him. That'll be the end of the play.
And coming up a bit early there, I'd say. But just his presence will actually... Okay, hold up.
I mean, you can still get engaged on as they are looking for this, as the hook will miss. And nothing much is going to come from this, as little lockdown. Delight without his hook isn't much, as we do have Peanut running around. And they do know where Oner is, so he's looking to get a little bit aggressive himself onto the streak.
Still be able to get the Dragon. Very much a nice little mind game played there by Guma. Is able to avoid the hook, doesn't have to use either summoner. But still, advantage Gen G here on the bottom side. And Peanut showed that. Should have been a sign for T1. Like, ooh, he's probably still going to be in this area. To back off, they didn't. Still at least escape with their lives. And now, bit of a contest here potentially, and they're going to back off the Drake.
Yeah, Gen Z trying to cheat tempo there. They spot Oner towards the top side. There isn't really that much for Peanut to do because his bot side jungle is down. And he knows his Raptors have just been taken. There's a lot of vision towards the top half of the map. As Doran just gets knocked back. But I think really good read there. With Chovy having Cryo, it looked like maybe they were going to be able to do it, but level 4 Sejuani doesn't quite get to do it, even with Sylas helping with the permafrost. And T1 definitely doing a good job here in the early pressure with this Lulu and Aphelios.
Yeah, I mean, the first blood went to Gen G, but T1 since then have been able to get quite a lot here. They take down a plate. They did stop the Dragon. Looks like mid is going pretty well for Faker after the fact. As we have more skirmishing up on the top side. In goes Doran. Is just going to get all out, and immediately Peanut is here. As so is Oner. Oner looking to get over the wall, but the permafrost is good. As Oner might just have the damage. Doran flashes away, goes back in, gets the kill, outplays them again. As now Oner is left alone 1v2. And he doesn't have his flash. It's so close. It's like 3 seconds, and it's not going to be enough. That's another kill. 2-0 for Doran.
2 kills to the Aatrox here in this early game. And if game 1 was a macro diff, was the ability to rotate around with the Taliyah, make impacts early on every single lane, it's this time the hands diff that Gen G are trying to pull out here in both of these plays. Oner is there. He is with his top laner, but he gets outplayed here. Doran showing his mastery of the Aatrox. We've talked about R5 Aatrox for Doran so many times. It's not picked in R5 this time around, but Zeus critically overstepping here, trying to bait this win because Oner's nearby, but he doesn't have 6, and Doran plays him over the wall here. Chains go out, he flashes, and it goes in, still hits the sweet spot, and that's the double kill here to the Aatrox.
And we talk so often about the Sejuani 2v2, but especially in some of our lower bracket games, we saw the Sejuani picked, and then the only thing it really did was be there in team fights. Not this one. The early skirmishing. Gen G are just opting into it completely.
I don't know about this one, Oner. He has his flash this time, but he gets knocked out. Meanwhile, Pays nearly gonna die. Has to flash away, but he still kills Oner as the damage is just not there to get on top of this Zeri. And now Pays is gonna get a kill as well.
And that's the one place you really had a nice lead here is the bottom side. Pays picking up that extra gold here. Isn't going to stop these plates from getting pressured here by Guma, but still, Zeri picking up a kill here, over-indexing into this fight as well, and Guma picks up 88 gold off of this, but it feels like a consolation prize at this point. 4 kills to 0, 1,000 gold to lead our Gen G, and things get tougher from here.
And That's nice timing here.
Pretty good.
On the Silas, yeah. But what's really big to me is game number 1 felt like it was all about Chovy. Game number 2, it's about Peanut and the synergy he has with the side laners. T1, though, still have a decent lead here towards the bottom side of the map, but as soon as that starts falling, they're in deep trouble as Peanut.
Silas is here. Jovi's ready to fight this one. I mean, Oner, he does not have the support right now as he's getting chunked down, and down he will go. Eventually, right? Maybe not actually, as the Wild Growth comes in, and T1, they're going to punish Gen.G for going way too deep, is what it ends up being, as we do have the Maokai ultimate stolen. As the Q will come in, Chovy, does he have the W? No, he will not, and he will not be able to take down anyone.
Big bounce back here for T1 in this game. They will take a gold lead, but the kill's going over to the Maokai here critically. Not a 2-0 you're getting on an Aatrox, and this play, this overextension here, as Chovy's not able to make the play happen fast enough to make an impact there with the stolen Nature's Grasp. Gen.G, bit of an overextension.
And this will very reminiscent of Peanut's invade towards the red buff. I don't know if you remember in the upper bracket final where like, we got a lead, we can do this now. All this means is that T1 has caught up, will be even in gold. Gen.G still are going to be able to get themselves the Rift Herald, but 1 or 2 more of those opportunities. And again, I want to highlight, topside falling behind is rough, but it's not the end of the world. This has got to be a tilter, right? Pace barely getting out with his life there. But as long as Guma's in a good spot, which again, he is, this T1 comp can work because the rest is just set up for him.
Yeah, and this is one of those classic T1 moments where you can use the Nature's Grasp here to buy a bunch of time. Faker gets over the wall here. Look at this. Oner flashes.
Charm.
Peanut doesn't have the damage. The charm is there, and Chovy's now left alone because he thought he was going to win this so quickly and so easily, but Guma has that prio bottom side. He gets to rotate over faster, and you're on the wrong side of the map, Peanut, to be hoping you have this much of an advantage. But of course, the kills going over the Maokai isn't the exact place you wanted that gold right now. We'll accelerate that first item, but it's not going to be going to your carries.
Yeah, that it won't, as we do have a setup here on the Dragon. We have Zeus running down the river here as Scout has come to watch the games. Very cool, very cool. Hope he's enjoying this, of course, supporting T1 in this case. As Hazen Delight, very tricky spot here, but Oner is coming down, so yeah, they're just gonna leave that one be for now, although Hook also dodged. Guma just, I feel like from the series yesterday, there were a lot of times where Guma would get behind and he's like, no, we are not losing. I'm going to carry this. I'm getting that kind of feel, that same kind of energy down in the bottom lane. He's trying so many times to make these plays and trying to step up for the team.
He was a true professional yesterday, no matter what. He just would not make a mistake. He would not fail. And then against these hooks, he's not.
Nice little burst coming in onto Pays. He's getting incredibly low as now we have over the wall. Immediately cleanse, but Keria's gonna get burst down. And that means that Oner can't do much. And again, Pays, low on health, gets away. Meanwhile, 1v1 in mid as double Spirit Rush, always fun to watch. A lot of dashing, a lot of juking, but not much to come from it.
And Pays is forced back here, so it means he'll miss out on some CS, but considering he got a kill, he'll take that anytime. The reason why T1 still relatively even goal is the plates. Outside of top lane, they have been able to consistently push play towards mid, towards the bot side, but we do see these crucial item spikes still coming out for Gen.G. And the main issue that I have with the composition that T1 has is if Guma at any point gets caught, the comp falls apart, right? They're so reliant on him, there's so much threat as we see here as well.
Yeah, it's just Peanut being here faster, having the heads-up knowledge that it's very likely the Oner being down here on the bottom side, they're going to look for a play like this. He had the right type of guns to actually follow up on the Gravitum there with the high range. He thought he had enough burst, but unfortunately he ultimately did not, and Peanut comes over with a really well-timed ult, and this is just more money here to the top side. Aatrox, who's already got that Dust Blade here, and they even may set up a dive if Zeus wants to try to contest here.
He's gonna contest all right, and yes, he will stop the push for now, as it is a bit of a top push for Doran and the Aatrox, but a push now on the bottom side. TP coming in from both teams, actually. Flash already from Guma. Now Doran is just on the run. He just goes in a World Ender and says, well, Faker TP'd, so it is going to be worth it for me to just get away. And that they do, no fight to happen.
Peanut didn't have ult to commit topside there. with the Rift Herald crashing through. And Doran decides with the prio, he's going to try to make a play happen bottom side there. Good disengage from T1, but they still get the teleport out of Faker, as you mentioned. And now he can just get back up here to top side, Chovy that is. And actually, Peanut's got ult now.
Zeus, I mean, do they have the damage to get into this Cassante as the permafrost? Oh, he will be denied the all-out over the wall, and that should be the end of Zeus eventually. It doesn't matter what champion he's playing, as Chovy will pick up a kill.
And again, Peanut, 100% kill participation. We'll see if the cross map works out from T1, though.
Definitely should. They're going to push them off of the mid turrets and the bot turret, although the first turret will go into the hands of Gen G.
The Rift Herald crashing topside means that Chovy wins this race, so they will pick up that additional first turret gold. Bottom side here, Guma still a threat. Cull's completed, grabs all that extra gold there from the turret itself. As Faker.
Faker has Spirit Rush, dodge on that one, just trying to 100-0 him as the Spirit Rush is not going to get him away. Delight just ticks down with the Ignite, and Paze and Delight put 1-1 together for the kill.
So close! It's so close, he almost gets out, but it's burned down, and it's just another proactive play from Delight, where he hits the knock-up into the grab, has that augment, the Glacial Augment to slow Faker down, and the damage is there. Paze is there for the follow-up, does commit Summoners to secure the kill there, but Gen G are just winning everywhere. They're being proactive all the time. If you think you can push a lane, if you think you can be out, if you think you're safe, you're never safe against this team that will just not stop punishing. Permafrost into ult here means that is a dead Cassante. Also denies the all-out. Don't think it would have saved him, but it's impressive nonetheless.
It's, again, the permafrost timings have been so crisp. Delight are really clean, you know, sidesteps, gets the silence, and Faker ends up flashing as well. I think the orbits...
We got another play. They're trying to turn on to Paze here, but I don't think they have that amount of dive. Again, this front-to-back composition from the set at T1, like Oner can do it, but nobody else really able to get in there, as Paze, with no summoners, just walks it off. And that's not going to end up being much here for the set at T1.
Prio trying to be set up here for this Hextech Drake for T1. A solo individual Hextech Drake, pretty significant for their composition. And they've got their own set of pick here. Delight.
Charm, maybe. Nope, not gonna hit. Does a nice amount of damage to Doran. T1 about 2,500 gold down. But they are going to be looking for this Drake. As Sinji, they say, okay, we'll trade it. We're not going to force into that river at this point in time, so they just take down the second Rift Herald instead.
Yeah, some of the health bars are a little bit low, and T1 in full control, so trying to walk in there definitely would have been a really big risk. They don't want to take that pace, getting close to a second item. Same for Chovy, only sitting on a rod right now, so they don't want to take the gamble. Instead, they're going to try and further their gold lead with the Herald. Second one going through, and if Chovy starts becoming an unanswerable threat inside, because we haven't really talked about the yet, as Oner walks up and smites, and very happy for it. If Chovy becomes unanswerable in sides, you will be able to get dragons later as Gen G. Obviously, ideally, you'd have, again, that Cloud Soul closer to lockdown, but because if I'm looking like either Faker or Zeus, I don't think they're going to have a good time in the Fat Silas.
No, it's not going to be a good time. And when you consider that the Duskblade resets come with any pick, any Blitzcrank hook leads to that, and then it's really easy to get on top of the Aphelios.
Faker trying to make a play here as Doran getting slowed down, and he can't quite get away, but the TP will have to be used from the side of Chovy to keep him alive, as Faker will be denied the kill.
You get this mid-turret, and then it becomes so much more possible to set up Sejuani pick here across the map with the ult and the Blitzcrank. They want to defend this so badly, they're going to commit to Nature's Grasp.
Yeah, and it's only going to get Peanut for now, as Chovy's got his own, and that's, like I was saying before, you don't need Maokai, you need Silas. He just takes it away, and that's going to be the end of that. Down goes Oner. Zeus trying to frontline, nearly gets his head taken off, as we do have Guma doing a nice amount of damage. Will push Gen G away, but again, it just feels like he's alone in this game.
Delight just waiting for another hook opportunity here, any target.
I don't know about this. Okay,
Great
very
buffer.
nice, very nicely done. You know, it's pretty predictable, but good job by Zeus to not get hooked this time.
Yeah, Delight almost gets him, with the silence. Maybe that would have been enough. But saves that flash as well. We do see him continuously looking for the aggressive repositions, but it's again, one play from T1 gets so swiftly answered here. And that's really what kind of sells it to me, is that we have that Faker play on bot, Chovy TPs, and it feels like a win for T1, but then instead with the second TP on the Herald, and the Maokai ultimate being there for Gen G, they just get to completely take over the map again.
Every single time you hit just one route, there's Permafrost, there's the Glacial Prison, there's Blitzcrank Hook. It's just so many ways for a single target to die. You only get one buffer as the Cassante, and no one else is going to be able to get out of there if they do get caught. With Cleanse here for Guma. And if that reset comes through in a team fight over a huge objective like Baron, that's all you need. And with Delight, is going to be this heads up on the play every time on this Blitzcrank. If they're able to set him up for success so repeatedly here. Sure, Guma was able to avoid the hooks, but on objectives, you've got to be there. You've got to huddle around this and just fish in a barrel here for the pick.
Yeah, the pick comp here of Gen G. They were skirmishing from minute 2, basically, when Peanut did gank the mid lane, and it worked out well for them in the 2v2. And ever since then, they got a progressive lead. They got ahead in top, and since then it's just been okay. We steal Maokai ultimate, Silas, Blitzcrank, Sejuani, Aatrox. Somebody is going to follow up on a pick, and we just bash them over the head with our giant red hammer. And that's what I said in the draft. They've been doing that really well, and T1 just don't have an answer just yet. I'm not sure if I'm not sure how many items Guma will need to deal with it.
Chovy also with this first strike is going for death cap second, so he's just going full burst, right? The amount of damage he's going to be able to do inside is going to be absolutely ridiculous. And again, we see Zeus has to itemize armor because his main job in fights is going to be either keeping Doran away from his backline or maybe somehow isolate Pace. But that also means that Chovy's going to be even harder to answer. Faker just not really in a position where he can threaten this Silas in the 1v1.
The only way, too, to get Gen G into a position where you could maybe fight them and maybe set up for a charm is to start an objective, but they don't have the damage. Even on 2 items here with Kraken Slayer, the Aphelios alone with Ahri as his mid laner is not going to be able to rush down Baron, not going to be a real threat. Gen G also taking away that vision control now, and T1 just out of options here. And it's just every time the Maokai ult like hijack rule is off cooldown and he can take it, he will grab it and set up for an objective.
It just feels silly that you get to have Maokai on your team. It's like insane. As nice job. As the hook was pretty close, but Zeus was ready for it just in case. The charm missing as well. Gen G holding control of this river as we have Cloud Soul again. Shout out to Atlas.
Some big item spikes down here. Gumayusi sitting on his second item here. Needs to play very far forward.
There is the better Maokai ultimate going to be blocked here nicely by Zeus. They throw in a Glacial Prison, and Gen Z this time not able to follow up on the pick.
This is best case scenario for T1 so far. Great block.
He just keeps blocking those, man. He's just absorbing them as now they're trying to get in onto Peanut. The charm comes in, but he's just so dang tanky. As now Delight goes in, silences more people. Guma misses his ultimate, but the damage still there, but the hook comes in. They take down Guma, and that was all your damage just out the window. Now Chovy going in. We got Zeus and Oner. They're trying desperately to do anything to the support player on the side of Gen G, and they can't even do that. It's a triple again here to the side of Pace, who is again carrying this game.
And Delight says heads or tails. I'ma flip some heads. Zeus has a tool of dealing with this hook, but unfortunately Guma does not. And if he goes down, this comp falls apart. T1, they tried their very best. It actually looked good up front. Chovy didn't have death cap, just bought a stopwatch instead. A lot of damage is thrown into the front line, right? It's Zeus and Oner taking all this, but it's still not enough.
The target selection here just isn't great here on the side of Gen G. They're way too far away to follow up on the pick here that they're looking for with the Sejuani ultimate, and then Peanut is isolated here, but because he's so tanky, as you mentioned, Valdez here, there's just so much time bought for Delight to get into the thick of things. Pace, look at his health bar throughout this fight. He's just able to get his way out here, and then the hook onto Guma seals the deal, because if he lives here and Pace is disengaged, you have better damage here on the side of T1 and some utility to back it up with this really tanky front line of the Cassante, but ultimately, because he's hooked there, there's just no follow-up.
야 불츠 미쳤다.
My hooks are crazy.
He's right. They are crazy. Delight gets Rakan, has an insane game number 1. He gets Blitzcrank. And, you know, this isn't necessarily on our list of Delight champions, but maybe it should be now. As, you know, very nicely done. Always knows when to go for, you know, certain targets and stuff like that. He has been fantastic here in game number 2. As now going in, Chovy looking for the kill. As he's making the Sylas look broken as well. Like, we haven't seen this in a long time. But especially with this, is now Faker trying to get in as Delight is just looking for the hook. He's like, anyone but the Cassante, please.
The Moby Boots and Cloud Rift, Blitzcrank running around. It denies so much ability for T1 to walk up and make sure that you can actually contest these Baron waves. Yes, you can do it towards bot side, but that means Chovy again gets free reign. We see here as well a 1.5k gold lead in the mid lane, and Pays, as is the case so often in these fights, just goes unchecked, picks up kill after kill after kill. And Gen.G are, again, in game 2, in their comfort zone.
I mean, Pays, he picked up right where Ruler left off last summer, picking up the Zeri, got MVP of Spring like we were mentioning in game 1, and now here in this final game he's been set up for success. His positioning was fantastic there, and with 6 kills and 3 items here, he's just so big. He also has that front line of the Sylas, he has the front line of the Aatrox, and any single kill means game over for T1.
All right, let's see it. They're going to try to force another player, at least stop them from getting in. But again, Charm comes in, Peanut almost full health. In goes Zeus. He's looking for someone, but might just look at himself going down as the Permafrost comes in, and Zeus is just on the run. No follow-up here. As nice Charm does come in. They're going pretty deep for this Cassante, and they finally take him out, as that will be the end of Zeus in the fight. A lot of low health bars here from Gen.G, so it looks like they will back off, even though they are 11,000 gold ahead.
There's not much to do to answer this. As T1 Faker on 1.5 items, he's 2 levels down on this Aatrox. And it's just like the previous game. Once you fall this far behind, Gen.G are oppressive, and people have called them boring because of when they get leads, they often don't overforce, they don't overpush, they don't try to maximize, like, okay, we could win right now. This push for small advantages like this, and once again, another hook comes through as Zeus tries to come around and turn this play. Permafrost, insanely valuable here in the second game, and they turn a defensive option here for T1 into a disaster.
And you see as well the desperation on T1, right? Zeus going for a flip play like that. Just maybe we can get Pays, who had his summoner still available. Chances of him actually going down there just seems extremely unlikely. And you can see, like, Gumayusi again, he needs to have lifting, and I don't think this is up to him at all, right? It's the topside 2v2, it's the topside 3v3, where Gen.G, literally since level 2, have been reigning supreme, and it has bought so much space for Pays, and it meant that the lead that Guma and Keria were able to build up through sheer laning just doesn't end up mattering at all. And now you're in effectively one carry composition, with Faker also going for your more utility-oriented build, which I think in this comp is kind of what you got to go for. But you're 10k gold down, and you have one person on the team that does damage versus 3.
And I think this game will be remembered as a one-sided stomp, but we have to remember that those 2 early plays were so close to going T1's way. If that happens, this game looks completely different. You don't have that early fed Aatrox, you don't have that early pickup of an assist for Chovy and that freedom in lane. Faker was controlling it until that moment. But since then, Chovy has had free reign over the map. Doran has had free reign over the map, has a massive experience lead over his counterpart in Zeus. And you give Gen.G just an inch, they take a mile, and that is what they've been famous for so long here in the LCK, whether it was Ruler, whether it was Pays on this roster. And this is just such a dominant start in what is the last best of 5 here of summer.
And this game feels like pretty much done deal. It's almost 12,000 gold. Gen.G maybe just waiting for the next Baron to come up, or perhaps they want to stack even more Cloud Drakes. They can pretty much do whatever they want at this point in time, as it really is protect the president here on the side of T1, but unfortunately, as we have said many times, it's not spring anymore. This kind of comp doesn't really work out even if you do get the lead for your Aphelios, and Gen.G are showing them why, as they have taken full control over the map. Not really going to force anything just yet, as once again, better Maokai on the Rift.
Quite literally a hijack, you know, just coming in. Give me some vision of that jungler. Let me grab that ultimate here right before. That's right, you guessed it, the next objective fight. 15 seconds to go on this Cloud Drake. Now they've got Maokai to make sure they can secure. Do they have to hard force? Do they need to dive? No, they could just push away, control the zone here, and make sure T1 can't get anywhere near this. Now, luckily, T1 did get those early 2 Drakes, so they have some buffer here. It's not like Gen G are grabbing Soul or even Soul Point, but these individual Drakes are stacking up. The T1, they don't have any vision. There's no way they could trade this for Baron for Dragon right now as the Baron spawns. The timing of this so unfortunate for T1.
And I think BT might be done here for Guma, but that by itself not gonna be enough. Also, no Peanut went Anathema's Chain. And like, who is killing Peanut in this game when you have an Anathema's Change? No one! An Ahri that's gone for a utility build, and then Zeus. It's not happening!
Yeah, no, it's not. And we'll have to wait and see if T1 try it again, because oftentimes it has only been Peanut that has been given as an option, as we do have Delight just lurking, just waiting, as he's gonna catch the Lulu out of midair, as there's just nothing they can do. It's okay, you got the Aatrox, now you're trying to get away, but you haven't dealt with FaZe, who again took out his giant red hammer and is bopping you over the head with it. It's now Gen G looking to push in through mid.
And T1 trying to play League of Legends while Pace is playing Mario. He's just jumping on top of everyone. And it's again the culminated effort of Gen G. Everyone working together. The early top 3v3. The bot lane absorbing the pressure. And the Blitzcrank coming up on top.
Oner's gonna give it a wild crack, as you have to do something, right? As Faker, he's also gonna get rooted down, as Gen G really not pulling any punches this time around. They take game 1, and now they're gonna take game number 2, as Keria just desperation. Down he will go. This is gonna feed another 12-kill game over to the side of FaZe. Like, you gotta be kidding me. This is 2 games.